Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. I'm Aaron Porras here with ILTV's Morning Brief. Heckling over Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's inauguration address was an easy foreshadowing for today. Israelis waking up this morning to a brand new government, and opposition leaders are already looking to undermine it, saying it's doomed to fail. Yesh Atid chief Yair Lapid slamming the premier, calling the government disgusting, bloated, and broken on local radio this morning, echoing his cries Sunday.
תראו איך קמה הממשלה הזו. אפס אמון בין השותפים. הכל דרך עורכי דין, דיונים בבתי משפט, דריסה של חוקי היסוד. אנשים שלא מאמינים לאף מילה אחד של השני, זו לא אחדות. הסכם משפטי בין אינטרסנטים שלא סובלים אחד את השני. זו לא אחדות.
Israel Beitenu leader Avigdor Lieberman telling Army Radio, throwing insults, saying that the ministries are being taken apart and put back together like Legos. After 508 days arguing and campaigning, though, 34 new ministers are sworn in for the 35th Israeli government, making it the largest in the country's history. While Prime Ministers Benjamin Netanyahu and Benny Gantz are hailing this unity government as the answer to Israel's cries, still signs of disunity are on the streets. Some who don't believe Netanyahu, who is being investigated for corruption, should be given this opportunity, and others who believe the investigation itself is a sham. Indeed, there are many policy disagreements between the two halves of the unity as well, most notably Prime Minister Netanyahu continuing to push for annexations within Judea and Samaria or the West Bank as soon as possible. Gantz, on the other hand, making no mention of it in his inaugural speech. The sun is out and people are out and about with a downwards trend of coronavirus cases that's seeing significant lessening of restrictions in the country. Just 10 people diagnosed in the past 24 hours, while 76 recovered. The death toll sits at 27 with a total of 16,617 diagnosed nationwide. We're already seeing people flocking to local eateries, and reports now that the Health and Finance Ministries have reached an agreement that could see restaurants and cafes back to full business by the end of this week. Certain hygiene measures will need to be strictly adhered to, though. This has been the scene at places of worship during the coronavirus restrictions, prayers taking place outside and keeping that 2-meter distance. But government officials are weighing a framework for their reopening. Synagogues, mosques, and churches could once again welcome worshippers, but with separated seats and a virus supervisor to ensure that all health measures are followed. A murder conviction handed down today for a West Bank settler in an Israeli court this morning over the firebombing murder of 3 members of a Palestinian family in 2015. 5 years after the fact, Amiram Ben Uliel is set to receive his sentencing on June 9th for 3 counts of murder and 2 counts of attempted murder after breaking into the Dawabsha family home in the West Bank town of Duma, throwing a Molotov cocktail inside, killing 18-month-old Ali Dawabsha and his parents Saad and Recham. Ben Uliel confessing to the crime for his 3rd time after the first 2 were ruled inadmissible because they'd been extracted by physical force. Ben Uliel's lawyer is vowing to appeal the Supreme Court. Still reeling from the shocking news, a Chinese delegation was set to begin a probe into the death of Chinese ambassador to Israel Du Wei tomorrow. But just hours after initial reports, Chinese officials saying they accept the Israeli paramedics' assessment and are canceling their investigations. The 57-year-old Wei discovered by aides in his Herzliya home Sunday morning not breathing, and his body is now being prepared to be sent back to China for burial. Israeli Magen David Adom paramedics declaring his death due to heart failure, and the Chinese Foreign Ministry still planning to investigate until now. The death also comes just days after Wei pushed back at United States criticisms of Chinese investments in Israel. Wei is survived by his wife and son, neither of whom live in Israel. And it's only May, but Israel is sizzling through yet another scorcher today. The country could be facing its longest and most extreme heat wave ever recorded this week. Temperatures are set to sit consistently around 104 degrees Fahrenheit, that's 40 degrees Celsius for about 6 days. In Eilat, Israel's most southern coastal city, they're in store for a high of 113 degrees Celsius, that's 45 degrees Celsius today. The population is clearly blasting the AC as a result, Israel's electric corporation recording the country's highest amount of electricity use in May ever at 1:30 p.m. Sunday. That's all for now, but for more news from Israel, remember to like ILTV on Facebook and on Instagram, and to subscribe to us on YouTube. I'm Aaron Porras, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.